Wow, today my guest is Mr. Louis Harrison. I just so excited to have him on here with us because we're gonna flow with all the East philosophy, esoteric system, his journey become a coach. Hey Louis, how are you?
Good, Sunny. How are you? Thanks for having me. I'm so honored.
Well, Louis has a long bio, and I don't know which part I want to share. So let Louis pick what he want to share with our audience.
Sure. My name is Louis Harrison, and I'm a combination scientist, mystic, teacher, game theorist, and I'm at AskLouisTips.com. Well, in the morning when I wake up, because all human beings are fragile creatures, and I'm a little insecure. So I wake up in the morning, I go, what is the meaning of my life? What am I doing here? What have I done? I've done nothing in my life. My dark voices come into play. You're worthless. You're ugly. You're stupid. And then I go, what have I done to deserve to be in the world? Oh, I remember. I had 40 books published. I have a radio show on NPR. I talk to Nobel Prize winners about my work in game theory. I
Hmm.
translated the Tao Te Ching from Mandarin into English. Yeah, that's the short version. And then I feel good again.
But what the great habit to remind yourself you are the miracle, right?
Yeah,
You are a miracle to exist. And
yeah.
also flow with your talents, your wisdom. How you get involved with Eastern philosophy, and
Well,
obviously you are deep into it.
in 1972, I was initiated into a mystic path by an Indian guru.
Mm.
I still do that meditation, but I no longer buy the particular philosophy anymore. There's no
Mm.
split, nothing negative. I'm into game theory now. I'm not
Yes.
into I'm not into thinking about the spiritual world. I'm learning how to master the material world. So so I said to my teacher, I really want to understand the core of mysticism. Where do I go? And he says to me, you need to study the Tao Te Ching.
Oh, wow.
It's an Indian guru, not a Chinese teacher. So I read a translation of the Tao Te Ching, and I say, this is awful. It's just awful. Not the book, the translation. Then I go to college. I'm 22 years old. I have a professor who's an expert on Confucius,
Hmm.
one of the premier experts on Confucius in the entire world. I mean, this is an academic guy. He's not a mystical guy. And I say to him, I can't stand Confucius. Well, I want to get into Chinese stuff, but I don't want to study Confucius. And he says, well, the best thing to do then is to study the Tao Te Ching. Okay.
Second
And,
size.
and I say to him, but I've already looked at the translation. They're terrible. And he says they're all terrible. That's why I'm a Confucianist. So I said, well, how do you solve this problem? And he's making a joke. He says you probably need to get 20 or 30 Mandarin speakers, go over the
Hmm.
book word by word and do your own translation.
Oh, wow.
And I said to him, well, how long is that going to take? He said, I don't know, 40, 50 years. And he said, you better start now. So it took 41 years.
Hmm.
And what I did was, since the Tao Te Ching was written in ancient Mandarin, which nobody speaks now,
Hmm.
to get a wide range of Mandarin speakers, college professors, academics, scientists, restaurant waiters in Chinese restaurants to say, what does this word mean? And it
Hmm.
took me 40 years to do it, and I did it, and it's published now.
Oh, great. Congratulations.
Mandarin is gender neutral, but almost all the books talk about Lao Tzu as if he's a he, but there is no male or female in ancient Mandarin. It's a gender.
Exactly. Even now, I'm so confused like he and she sometimes.
Uh, uh, Next thing, they use the word sage constantly. The people who wrote the Tao Te Ching were Westerners who were Christian missionaries. So they
Mm.
talk about the sage as if he's a Christ-like figure, but can't be Christ. Only Jesus can be Christ, but he's Christ-like because the actual translation is not sage. That's a Western construct. The
Mhm.
actual translation is the teacher in possession of profound wisdom. I have a community called the Mystic Tao community. It's a community. I
Mhm.
was studying Mystic Taoism, and
Mhm.
that's by Jane English. She has a great translation, but when you read it, it's hard to read. It's not rhythmic. So, for another thing, like they talk about ethics, and when they talk about ethics, ethics is a Western term. That's not an Eastern term. It's not about. It's about being pure to natural law. Not ethics. Doesn't mean ethics. It means being true to natural law. But you have to do
Mhm. Mhm.
introspection to know what being true to natural law is. It's not some biblical point of view about what ethics is. So my solution was to take game theory, which has won over 20 Nobel Prizes, and to explain it simply, if you see the movie A Beautiful Mind, that's actually
Mhm.
about a man who won the
Yes.
Nobel Prize for game theory. I've created something called applied game theory, which says you can use Western patterns and algorithms to predict what a human being is likely to do in a certain situation.
Exactly. That is actually the gene key is all about. It's a kind of navigation with the game system in there. Then you have a little hint
Yes,
about, your life journey. So that
yes.
is fascinating.
So I combine Taoism with
Hmm.
game theory and
Yeah.
another Western concept called pattern language, which is scientific, it's not esoteric. Pattern language was developed by an architect named Christopher Alexander.
Mm.
And Alexander said if you could recognize something in the world and categorize it, and remember, Lao Tzu says in the Tao Te Ching, human beings categorize everything. The 10,000 myriad things. That's what humans do. So he created a system called pattern language.
Mm.
And he didn't realize how much of a mystic he was. He's a pure Taoist and never mentions it, never references to Taoism or Asian philosophy. He's a pure Taoist. If you can see the pattern, then you can describe what it is. And if it's a
Mm.
problem, you can see the pattern in the problem and it will give you the solution. Pure biology.
Yeah. So everything is together, right? The universe is really coming from the same source. Then we start to branching out and
Yes.
create a different language or reality. And also right now we know we have a parallel universe. So
Yes.
reality is layers. So
Yes.
we always have a choice, which layer, which vibration we want to align, right? So I
Yes.
think this is fascinating.
I started at 14 years old. This is when I got
Yeah.
out when I was 14 years old.
Hmm.
I'm going to keep this story as clean as I can. You know, you're a young boy, you meet a girl, you kiss a little, you explore a little. And I was 14 years old, and I met an old soul who was also 14 years old. And, we did boy girl, use your imagination. And she said to me the next day, "You were so sweet in our interaction. I have a gift for you." And she gave me a book called The Wisdom of Insecurity by Alan Watts. And that was
Hmm.
my introduction to Zen at
Oh
14
God.
years old.
So
And
she's
so
definitely a messenger for you.
she was a messenger. And most of my messengers have been women who I desired in my young testosterone filled male reality. It was always women I admired and desired who would say, "Yeah, I'll kiss you, but before I kiss you, read Krishnamurti. Before I kiss you, read Ramdas. Before I kiss you, read the Kabbalah." So by the time I got done with all these amazing women, I didn't want to kiss anybody. I just wanted to meditate and become a celibate monk. So by 22 years old, I was a celibate monk with a shaved head in an ashram. So reading Krishnamurti and Lao Tzu and
That is so great. Oh, I love the way you painting your journey. It's
yeah,
just with all the love because that's what we are. If we really just love everything, open up our hearts,
yeah.
and know the miracle is coming in, right?
When I was 47 years old, I met a woman on a street corner in New York City, an Asian woman my age, a little younger than me. I was 47.
Mm.
And I said to her, this is me. This is what I did. And she said, oh, yeah, this is what I did. And she was much more evolved than me, had done much more than me, and was wiser than me. So what do you do when you meet someone smarter than you and wiser than you? You marry her. And and,
Mm.
and so I'm married 26 years. And the great part of the story, because we need to entertain the listeners a little bit. I was such a wild guy. I had a 23-year-old girlfriend who was pretty wise. And when my future wife came to meet me at the airport, I went to pick her up with my girlfriend, which of course the natural reaction would be, ew, creepy. So I'm staying there with my girlfriend. My wife to be, which I don't know yet, gets off the plane and says to this woman, who are you? And she says, I'm his girlfriend. And my future wife says, I hope you're as smart as you are good looking. So we were engaged in 3 months, and she made all my ex-girlfriends come to the wedding. And
What a great thing. I
sure.
can see you are the one to get all the fractal together, and your wife is helping you to get this
Yes.
fulfilled. I mean,
Yes.
that is amazing story, Luis.
If I asked her to come on camera now, she would throw a shoe at me.
Well, that's significant culture in China. When we send somebody a shoe, that means the getaway.
My wife is a brilliant poet, by the way. That's what she does all day. She writes
Mm.
brilliant poetry.
Oh, that is
She
amazing.
doesn't write stuff like how now brown cow. She writes poems that people read and they burst into tears or get this confused look on their face like they just heard a Zen koan and they don't get it. So she's pretty special.
Because you are special. That's how everybody you
Thanks.
connect, they are all special.
Thanks.
So that is amazing.
I teach people who think they're smarter than me, but have been convinced by someone else that you're not smarter than me,
Mm.
to get in a room with me with 10 other people. And I teach them game theory. Because my rule is if you live in the material world and you don't treat life like it's a game that has to be won, you will suffer. In the Buddhist sense of the word, you will suffer. So you can win the game of life through this idea that's won 20 Nobel Prizes. And the fact that you win doesn't mean anybody else has to lose. Everybody can win. But it's a game. So we're playing a game now called a Zoom interview. That's the game. We're both players in the game. And
We are
like
the
in
avatars. Yeah.
yes, and like in baseball, and you have a bat and a glove. In Zoom, you have a physical presence. You have to talk in a way that people understand. You need to have rapport with the person you're speaking with. Those are all parts of a game. And at the end, we win. Your viewers say that was great. You say that was a great interview. I say that was a great host. Everybody wins. So,
Yes.
so
Yes.
I actually have to train people to remember when they were children. What was your favorite game? And
Yeah.
now dissect that. What was that? Well, there are cheaters and referees and rules and players in the game space. Your life was like that. Do you understand that? And then they go, no. And, and I spend the next 2 hours until they say I got it. So I teach master classes around the world, not on Zoom. I would do Zoom if someone said, let's do a master class, but people want me physically in the room.
Yeah.
So I teach in South Korea, the back country of the Philippines, Morocco, London, British Columbia, Canada, and US. In the Midwest, I teach in Chicago and New York City, usually twice a year in each place. Game theory on a superficial level is easy. There's a basket, take the ball, put it in the basket. But when you get to a certain level, since you're a scientist, one of the things in science is you do something and there's supposed to be a specific result, but there isn't the result you expect. And now you have to figure out why it didn't work. Or you get the right answer, but you don't know how you got the right answer.
Yeah, you have no idea what you get.
Now you have to do backward induction. How did I end up meeting my wife on a street corner in New York and getting married in a month? How did that happen? I was unmarriable.
Yeah,
Well,
synchronicity. Yes.
I was ready, willing, and able. She was ready, willing, and able. I was sincere and authentic. And there's a saying for this from the German philosopher Goethe,
Mm.
but it's also very Taoist. And I want people, I'm going to say it slow so our listeners can get it. When you're ready, willing, and able, all manner of unforeseen events, circumstances, and miracles take place spontaneously without discipline and without willpower to bring
Mhm.
your vision to fruition. That's,
Yeah.
ma- that's manifestation.
Yeah, we do it usually the mind way. That is not the perfect way. The best way, just like you said, it just flow with everything. And things will happen for you when you are in the right place, the right person, the right time, right? So that's beautiful. I have to say, it's very important for people to hear you. You combine what I experience right now, the humor, the self-acceptance, understanding how this universe works, and with the data, because you lived through it. I'm
Yeah,
just so
yeah,
happy to hear from
you're
you.
very kind. By the way, a lot of people reach out to me and say, how do I study with you? This is not a commercial. This is actually a statement about what I do. So
Mhm.
if someone says to me, well, I want to study games, if they're going to go to master class, they're going to pay $100 for a course. People are always selling stuff, $10,000, study with me. So I said, how can I get serious students? Serious students, not
Mm.
people looking for a weekend workshop or a quick fix.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to do a Zen trick or a
Mm.
Taoist trick. I'm going to create a serious course for people. It's going to be 52 weeks long. 52 weeks, 52 lessons. I
Mhm.
bet they can't do it, that they're not serious, that they're dilettantes, that they're just looking for a short, quick fix. And I'm going to charge them $5 a month. So people do so I have people that almost no one finishes. They're not, most people aren't serious. I get some people
Mm.
and they want to learn about game theory. They want to learn about Lao Tzu. They want to learn about pattern language. They want to learn about self-improvement, personal development. They want to learn about having a simple, minimalist life with no unnecessary struggle. I'm 72 years old. I'm telling you this for a reason. I have a new mantra. You're gonna laugh when I tell you this. The word begins with SH and then it ends with a T.
Uh,
Yeah, good. I wake up every morning. This is my first mantra. I go, shit, I'm not dead. That's my mantra in the morning at 72 years old is shit, I'm not dead. And then I yell at my wife, honey, I'm not dead. And then she throws a shoe at me. So yeah, I'm just grateful every day, and I
Mhm,
haven't
mhm,
changed much. I listen to tapes of myself when I
mm.
was 27 years old. They're exactly the same. I don't have a single new piece of information. Give up
Oh.
your regrets about the past. Give up your expectations for the future.
Mhm.
Focus on what you need, not what you want. Spend the rest of your life meditating to figure out what you actually need. That's called chop wood, carry water in Zen. If you can't chop wood and you can't carry water, you can't do anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Come out of love,
Exactly.
come out of love, and you will die at the moment you're supposed to die without even a second thought.
While we are here in this material plane, we're coming here to play the game, to navigate, to really collect information and fit
Yeah,
into this holographics computer system, right? That's what I understand. Like we are just the eyes and the ear from our Mother Earth. We coming here to
yeah.
collect data and we can live different through the light. There's no right or wrong. It's just experience, right? Then those things will back to that whole system. So that's how we can help everybody evolve. If we don't have enough information, we don't have the complete data,
I've,
then
I've,
we cannot really do it. Yes.
and I'll tell you a funny story. I think it's funny. I had a Zen master for 20 years who
Mhm.
would always tell me stuff that made no sense. I knew it made I knew it made sense to him. And I said, "Can you explain that to me?" And he said, "No. But if you follow what I told you, no
Mhm.
regrets, no expectations, only needs, no wants, you'll get the lesson." Okay. So me being a pseudo wise man, I say to him, life is a school where you learn things. And he said, "No, it isn't." No, yes, it is. Everybody knows that one. Life is a school where you learn things. He said, "No, life is a message board. And if you
Mm.
don't get the message, then you learn the lesson."
Mm.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
well, whatever. Some Zen master bullshit. I'm not listening to that crap. So, jump 20 years. One of my joys is skiing. Oh yeah, I'm skiing, and there's a message, a sign
Mm.
that says, "Watch out for changing conditions." If you're a skier, there are always
Oh.
signs in the mountain. And
Uh-huh.
there's a thing called a mogul. And a mogul is a very bumpy hill. So I know that there's this hill. I love this hill. I go down real fast, a fat hill, a fast hill. This year they've changed the hill and they put moguls on it.
Mm.
I don't know how to ski moguls. So I go by the sign that says, "Watch out for changing conditions." I go down the hill, and as I'm flying in the air screaming in terror, the thought comes to me: life is not a school, it's a message board. If you ignore the message, you learn the lesson. And then I land
Mm.
and I break my shoulder.
Oh, man.
And I'm not in pain. I'm laying on the hill laughing hysterically. I
Oh,
got
my.
the message. So I
Yeah.
went back to that ski mountain the next year to buy
Mm.
my lift tickets. And the guy said, "I remember you. You're the crazy guy who broke his shoulder." And
It's still laughing.
that's a true story.
Yeah, yeah. Well, my moment is similar. I'm actually was a restaurant owner, so I clean the grease trap myself every week. It's like so greasy, so smelly. I bend down, I start laughing one time. The reason I laughing is say, look at me. I came to this country with a master degree. I want to make some scientific breakthrough. I lost my marriage. I have one of my son has a genetic defect. Then the doctor say he cannot live more than 18. He's 27, by the way. Then
So
and I bent down there to clean the grease trap. Everybody left. I am the dishwasher. I'm the cleaner. I must have a lot of things. I didn't let it go. That's why I'm constantly attracting those gooey smelling thing. I start laughing. So I am the problem. If I understand the message, then I could change.
absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a Zen story that relates to the story you just told me, but it's one of my favorite stories. And that is a really great Zen master. We could say Taoist master because we both like Taoism. So there's a Taoist master, and he is working as a teacher for the emperor. He's teaching the emperor's daughter. And a salesman comes through and impregnates the daughter. And the emperor's upset and asks the daughter, "How did you get impregnated?" And she says, "The Taoist master impregnated me." She lies. So the emperor banishes him from the palace. And the only way he can make a living is by washing other people's toilets. And not only that, but the baby that's born, they make him take the baby. So he's rocking back and forth all day long, washing toilets. He's got the baby attached to him who's crying, who's laughing and Googling all day long because he's rocking all the time. And then finally, the emperor's daughter has guilt, admits what happened, and the emperor comes back to him and says, "Can we have the baby back? And we're sorry. You don't have to wash toilets anymore." And he says, "It's okay. I like washing toilets." That's the end of the story.
Yeah. Well, that's what actually I am doing now. I'm the cleaning maid for people. I have a
Yes.
program called Tune Up, Clean Up, and Speak Up. I'm
Yeah.
really the cleaner because that's my experience. If I don't have cleaning aura, or, I still have the false beliefs, and that would match with the vibration, right? Think about toilets. How important is the toilet? If we don't have it, everything got to go to disaster. So
Some people think interviewing me is like cleaning their toilet.
well, that is genius. Not everybody can do that, right?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we definitely need to share our great story. But before we let you go, I would like to do a little service to share your profile in the Pearl sequence in the Gene Keys.
sure,
I'm
thanks.
a Gene Keys guy. Gene Key for me is really the mystic, not so mystic now because it's all scientific proven. The
Sure.
way we speak to our DNA, we become the receiver from the message from the solar system. So when we are really cleaning, we flow nicely, then all the information, the messaging board be clear. But if we're not, we always have some clouds and emotions or whatever trapped in there. We don't know the messages. So the gene key to me is the tool to let people discover themselves. They can go to light up their lights. The Pearl sequence is the journey after we clean up and align our doing and being. Then that is the purpose we are here. We're giving our gift to the society using different services or different structure, different community like you built with great people around the world, then we can share the message out. So that's the Pearl sequence. And for that kind of a quantum field, the Pearl is in the middle. Pearl, I understand, is our personality and the pineal gland. So it's all in there, but then we need to nurture it and using different lessons. We don't know the messages. We have a lessons to polish the little discomfort or default to become the glossy pearl. So that is the journey in how we perceive things happen to us, so we can treat the pearl differently. Sometimes we hate it because like it's so irritated, right? But if you continue to fight, you won't have a pearl. The only way is to be peaceful living together and put the layer of the understanding and peace and love, then it can become a pearl. So for you, your vocation is 21.6. 21 based on the hexagram, so totally 64 different archetypes. And by the number, you will have different expression from your DNA level. And so your vocation, that's 21. In I Ching, 21 is like when you eat a big piece of meat and it got a bone in there. So open your mouth and want to just dig in, and it got something hurt your tooth, right? So that's teaching us to say nothing is going to look the same until we touch it. So the vocation for you is from this vanity, say, I want this, that's me, it da. Then you kind of the shift to, what is good for you and good for the society. You want to find a way, play the game to take out the pieces out so that you can enjoy the full meal. Your vocation line is 0.6. That is a giver, it's a philanthropy. Like you are on the top of the roof. You see things, then you want to create some kind of program or community to offer the real help, not the charity, right? Charities give something they want, they need, but then they don't grow. But as a philanthropist, you actually want them to change. You give them something, you don't care about what you get. So that's your vocation. Then you go to your culture. Culture key is structures to thrive with your business. Goes from line 1 to 6. Line 1 is individual. Line 2 is partnership. Line 3 is the units. Line 4 is the network. 5 is the society. 6 is the system. So you definitely, the game in the theory, all that is a system. You incorporate everything, right? So that is your culture. You want to create a system so you can grow and serve others. Then your branding, your personal brand is number 12. Number 12 in I Ching is like very just relaxed, but everything come to you. That kind of the energy. So you are 12. It's the role for your business. You are the teacher, but you're at ease. You're just like a light. You show up there, right? Then you teach. And all that quantum field create your pearl. And your pearl number is 21 again. If I contemplate this whole thing and hear your story, it's really you go through all different phases. Then you learn how to eat the meat, and you know there's always have something in there. So you become wiser. You don't attack that something, you just find a way to melt that something. So you can become one.
In Taoism, they call that Wu Wei, the action that requires no action.
Exactly. Because you know, this is not you. This is just the game pieces you need to deal with. It's experience, right? That's your pearl. So that's my honor to share what I see in your pearl sequence.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Subscribe for free. Tips.com. It's all tips. That's what it is. It's not selling anything in particular. If someone wants to go to the next level with me, it's $5 a month. But if they don't want to do that, they don't have to. It's just they just subscribe and they get free newsletters 3 times a week. You know, there's an old Zen saying, you can tell the quality of a society by the cleanliness of its toilets.
Maybe I would title this like the toilet theory.
I might write that book. That may be a title I use in the book.
Oh, I have so much fun. So say that again, how people connect with you.
So it's free, but you can't get in unless you subscribe. I require something from you. And so you go to Ask Lewis Tips. That's Lewisas. AskLeWis tips.com.
Okay.
It'll bring you to a place that says welcome. And if you're not a subscriber, you won't be able to get in past the first paragraph. So you need to, give me your email address. I will send you a free ebook of tips, and then you'll also be able to learn more about all the free stuff we do, as well as the $5 a month courses and mentoring with me, etc.
Thank you so much, Louis. I will see you around, and keep the good work. Being a great teacher, you are already.
Hopefully, I'll see you before I die.
No one dies. You know that, right?
I hope I see you again before I transition.
Yes, yes. We go to different dimensions. But thank you so much, Louis. Have fun.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.